Now, considering the season is only 3 games in, there's reasons to be optimistic. There's reasons to be concerned. And I must admit, I did miss the rambling emotions that rattle your head every second of the day, regardless of if your team win, lose, or draw. Now, currently, us Arsenal fans, you can forgive us for kind of licking our wounds and maybe quote unquote feeling sorry for ourselves, because in many ways against Fulham, it was a point gained. But considering they were down to 10 men, we threw it away in the 87th minute. It's 2 points dropped, set pieces, defensive fragilities, inconsistency, defensively at home versus away haven't been eradicated from our game in this early part of the season. And many fans on socials, in pubs, etc., find themselves trying to work out why. We have seen our manager Mikel Arteta, I'm sure he wouldn't say it's a gamble because it's all methodical in the world of football. But to us ignorant football fans, it does feel like he's gambling with a couple of players individually and collectively earlier in the season. Many would say if the system wasn't broke, why attempt to fix it? Many would say, you know what, even though there's teething issues, let's try and bring multiple systems. I know many people would have seen the cash that we've splashed in the summer, not the biggest of transfer spenders this summer, and we all know the connotations that came with that. We must do this, that, and the other. But I guess there is one player, Declan Rice cost a lot of money. He's showing his worth. Timber, before his injury, showed his worth. I would say Kai Havertz is showing that fans can have a varied degree of opinions on him, because many people could see why he was signed. Many people could say why he can't. When you look at it, he scores quite high for fouls won, duels won, etc., etc. But where take-ons and stuff are concerned, he hasn't been able to currently display that in an Arsenal shirt or just do what he's needed to do in the middle of the park. And I think when you look at Mikel Arteta's press conference, that was the first time he was kind of, I wouldn't say critical, but specific. He mentioned the backwards pass, and it does look like Havertz is lacking confidence, and you wonder what's going on. Is he struggling in terms of confidence? Is he struggling to adapt to the system? Yes, Arteta spent money on him, but why are we persisting with him at this moment in time, considering some players are hitting the ground running? Is it time to revert back to Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Odegaard? Is it time to gamble on a wild card in Smith Rowe, who was once upon a time a regular? Is it time to give Fabio Vieira a start? Really and truly, because he has looked good in his cameos. You go back to February, Fabio Vieira's manager, Mikel Arteta, said he was banging on the door, really. And Arteta drew praise for Fabio Vieira in our draw against Fulham and praised his impact that he made off the bench. Apparently, he's got the same amount of assists in all comps, people, as a number of players at Arsenal. And considering he was subbed on in the 56th minute to win a penalty and grab an assist and have a couple of chances, that's what you want to see Havertz and all players do, really and truly. And I think apologies, not Kai Havertz, Fabio Vieira had a very good cameo appearance. Again, it is very difficult to show your quality across, a little amount of minutes. Equally, if you don't get a run of games, the same could be said. Like, I think Trossard, for example, right now, he looks better as a super sub for Arsenal. Not that he has too many starts, but in a Mikel Arteta system, you have to affect the game. And I would say in just under half an hour or so, Fabio Vieira did what Havertz struggled to do, really impact the game. He got a great assist. He won a penalty. He just put himself about, really and truly. For Fabio Vieira, I think it's just a case of doing what you saw him do against off the bench against Manchester City and obviously against Fulham on a more consistent basis. I do think physically he needs to improve and things like that. But I do like what I see, and I do like the fact that he's playing with a point to prove, because he's competing in a congested area. As you know, there's many midfield options or players that could play in midfield, and Arteta has shown he'll throw spanners in the works with a number of tactical changes collectively and individually. And obviously, Odegaard's the captain. Havertz cost a lot of money. I can't see Fabio getting in anytime soon. But you do wonder how long will Arteta persist? Because at the face of it, we're only 3 odd games deep into the season. So you would wonder, is this the time to gamble with Kai Havertz? Is this the perfect time to give Smith Rowe or Fabio Vieira a chance? Is this the chance to try something new? Because Havertz has been thrown in at the deep end, trying to get him up to speed. At this moment in time, it isn't quite working. Do you pull him out of the firing line and give opportunities to other players? Because as much as I want to give a man time, we need to get 3 points today. So you do find yourself doing multiple calculations in your brain of specifically what the plan was. As I said, you could go with several other targets. Away from that, I do think the Fulham game was very disappointing, considering the fact that, we showed at home we've still got these brain farts. We made a number of individual mistakes, as I'm sure you would see on screen. You know, Saka's back pass was intercepted by Pereira. The second goal was conceded via a set piece. When you go back to Nottingham Forest and the goal we conceded there on the transition at the end of the game, you know, we need to do a lot better. I think the Fulham game was a case of we started the game poorly, we ended the game poorly, and that's all that really and truly matters. In between, we were the more dominant side, but considering we're at home, we need 3 points going into the Man United game. We did take the lead at some point. They're down to 10 men. It's unfortunate, really and truly. Again, I don't know what it is, but we look a lot more focused, a lot better as a team away from home. And you find yourself sitting there as an Arsenal fan and thinking, what if we just held on? What if we started the game better? What if we held on at the end? What if we defended better? What if we took the numerous chances better? Because we did have a number of chances. Shout out to Leno, but Fabio Vieira, Odegaard, Saka, numerous players had opportunities, really. And shout out to Saka for scoring the penalty and being involved in the build-up for Eddie Nketiah's goal after giving the ball away for the brain fart of the goal. So several points could be raised, people, and I'm sure you can as well. There's several question marks that really and truly can't be answered. That being said, though, away from the Fulham game, people, don't forget to let me know your thoughts and all of those sort of things. There are reasons to party. There are reasons to be optimistic. There are reasons to be happy. We're still earlier on in the season, and a number of our players have won awards at the PFA Awards. Bukayo Saka has won Young Player of the Year, rightly so, deservedly so. The man is amazing, really. He's a top 5 winger in the world. He's scary because he's barely scratched the surface for his ability. Again, he's always playing for Arsenal. The fact that he's come from the academy, you know, he's probably saved us 100+ million in this day and age. You lot know better than me how much it costs to sign. If we was trying to buy Bukayo Saka from elsewhere, what would be said there? And it's a joy to have Bukayo Saka. And the reasons get better because in inclusion to Saka, Odegaard, Saliba, and Ramsdale also were named in PFA Team of the Year, which again shows that we're building something special. Ramsdale's actually the first goalkeeper from Arsenal since David Seaman to be in such. It's the first time since 2010-11 that we've had multiple players in the Team of the Year. So we're going to have to see, people, really and truly. Shout out to you lot, people, because by now you've made it to the end of the video, people. I appreciate you lot for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Now, my ending thoughts on everything would be, first things first, shout out to Martin Odegaard, William Saliba, Bukayo Saka, and Aaron Ramsdale for, you know, getting awards with the PFA. It shows that we're doing great things. Lord knows how much it would cost if we were trying to buy Saka at this moment in time with what he's done and doing at another club. The same said for Ramsdale. Definitely William Saliba, and Odegaard was a steal. I'm not going to quite say Real Madrid are missing Martin Odegaard, but considering the young players they've got, if they could have everything they have there, and obviously, you know, Odegaard, they'd be laughing. And Arsenal have a lot of faults, but it shows what happens when you develop players properly and you sign players properly. You know what? Saliba was bought for 28, 27, 29, 30 odd million. Saka's come from the academy. Odegaard cost 30 odd million quid, and a similar fee for Ramsdale. For all their faults, criticisms, and improvements, we've got some great young players. So that's in relation to that. In relation to the Fulham game, I think it just shows that, you know, we've still got a long way to go before we can genuinely consider ourselves title contenders. Do not mistake me. We finished second last year. I want to finish top 3 as a minimum, and obviously want to go and get the big one. But the reality is we're playing a juggernaut in Manchester City and a serious boss in Pep Guardiola. Every point in the Premier League is a point gained. No points are being given for free, and every game's a tough game. And we have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. I don't know why. Typically, you know, obviously we've had bad games away from home. Everton away was probably, in my opinion, our worst performance last season. And we've obviously had that crazy game against Aston Villa. Ironically, we're playing Man United on Saturday. When you look at the Man United game last year, there was elements of what you saw cost us against Fulham, and obviously saw us victorious against Aston Villa, and were there in the Bournemouth game last season. You know, we're a very emotional side. We've got a long way to go. I don't know. The first thing I would say is I don't know why we're so much, in my opinion, twice the better side defensively away from home than at the Emirates. I don't know if it's complacency. I don't know if it's the atmosphere. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the tactics. I don't know what it is. But individually and collectively, we look much better. You know, while every game tells a different story, you look at how we defended for 30 odd minutes against Crystal Palace, down to 10 men. Down to 10 men for the best part of half an hour, versus how we was playing and how we conceded that goal from another set piece 3 minutes from normal time against a 10-men side in Fulham. Fulham. So we can be our best friends or our worst enemies. Even the build up to the corner, I'm not trying to catch anybody out, but Zinchenko, again, Declan Rice has had to concede the corner because Zinchenko's been caught dilly-dallying. We're obviously doing zonal marking, and I don't think the zonal marking for that goal in particular, worked. I can't remember that you would have seen it in the example, but I can't remember the Fulham lad, but somebody's made a dashing run to the front post. And a couple of Arsenal players have followed such. That's left a free runner in Paulinho, and he's put it in the back of the net. And maybe Ramsdale saw it late. Maybe he could have done better. Again, I'm not singling anyone else out because we have to defend better collectively. It's a cheap goal to concede, and it's 2 unnecessary goals. Obviously, when nobody's on the post, because we don't do man marking and we don't mark on the post, the luxury of somebody clearing it off the line is not there. We're an improved defensive side. We're not a good defensive side, in my opinion, one that needs to win leagues. And I'm not criticizing us. I think that's where we need to go, really and truly. You look at the goal we conceded against Forest. You look at the goals we conceded against Fulham. Bukayo Saka showed his mentality because he's bagged the penalty and been involved in the build-up play for Fabio Vieira to set up Eddie Nketiah. But he's played a nonchalant pass. Ramsdale's been caught out of position. As I said, we started the game bad. We ended it bad. In between, we was all right. But that's not how football works. And I do think for all the chances we had, for the shots on target, I think generally this season we haven't been firing on all cylinders and scoring the goals to the capacity that I believe this team can do, because they did it last year. Apologies. No edits. I believe we finished 8th. So yeah, I think it's, we finished second with 80 odd goals. So I think we need to do a bit better there. Clearly we can defend a lot better in games. Nottingham Forest and the 2 we conceded against Fulham, terrible, fair enough. Crystal Palace, we earned that clean sheet. But these are things, I'm not expecting them to go away in a matter of weeks, because that's not how preseason works. That's not how the early season works. But it does need to be eradicated. I would say the saving grace is at least it's been done 3-4 games into the, 3-4 odd games. These things are being said when there's 30 odd to play. Let's make sure we eradicate that. In relation to Kai Havertz, for me, I wouldn't start him against Manchester United personally, folks. I think Odegaard, Rice, Partey, Gabriel back in at centre half, Benjamin White shift over to right back. Let's go with that. And if Havertz starts and he plays, fair enough. And he did start a cup final at Wembley. I can't imagine being 4 games at the point of playing Man United deep into the Premier League. I can't imagine Havertz isn't going to play. And I'm not trying to be reactionary and call for Fabio Vieira, but it's starting to get to that stage where maybe Havertz has to come out of the lineup and then be reintegrated at another point. I think Arteta's tried it. You've started him heavily in pre-season. He started in the Community Shield. I think prior to Fulham, he's not stood out, but he's not. He's fitted in, and I don't think he's been terrible. I don't think he's been amazing. The Fulham game was a game where I was thinking, I need to see a bit more. You're passing it backwards a bit too much. Yeah, you're making runs off the ball and making fouls and all of those things. But games like that, I think he let it pass it by. Again, whether Fabio Vieira gets his opportunity and starts, that's another thing. But Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe reverting to what I believe on paper right now is our strongest midfield trio of Odegaard in the 10 and Rice and Partey on either side. I think we're getting into that scenario now where we're going to have to start to look at stuff. The Fulham game so far is the only one I was looking at Havertz like I needed a bit more from you. But I'll always support him. He cost a lot of money. Arteta has to play him. He has to find the system. And I'm all for giving people time. I'm all for positive criticisms and balanced opinions. But at the end of the day, for all these young players and players that are a bit older that need to hit the ground running or need time to adapt, we need to get 3 points today, really and truly. The collective needs 3 points. It's all about fine margins. City, forgive me if I'm wrong, have a perfect record in the Premier League so far. We don't. We've already dropped 2 points. You could say the Fulham game was a point gained because we were behind. You could also say it was 2 points dropped because a couple of minutes from the end of the game, we were obviously running away with it. It looked like it was a classic comeback, and we are still a very emotional side. Again, I don't quite know why this seems to happen at the Emirates versus away from home, but it highlighted that, there is a mentality to fight back and get into games, but ultimately our game management, our level of concentration, our whole outlook on how we defend from set pieces to the transitions to, being switched on, mistakes happen. This is football. Mistakes are going to happen. You're going to get caught on the counter attack. You are going to concede from set pieces, etc. This is the belly of the beast, but these things have to become less frequent and we need to manage games better. And again, I don't know what it is, but away from home, I'm a lot more confident. Is it because of the energy of the away fans? Is it the fact that we're being more focused because we're going into the Lions Den? Are we complacent at the Emirates because we're going to be on the front foot? The atmosphere is a lot better than how it definitely was when Arteta took over. Are the players complacent? Honestly, I don't know. Is it the system? Honestly, I don't have a clue, but it is what it is in that regards. I don't want to be that guy and stuff, but I do think we're missing Granit Xhaka. I do think I think games like that we get something a bit more from Granit Xhaka than Havertz. I do think we're missing that. I mean, Arteta's made his bed, so he's got a lie in it, really and truly. And there was some good moments, some bad moments, but again, defensively, that is what's going to make or break our potential title challenge. Really, how we defend. How good are you at your worst? Because there's 38 Premier League games. How many games of those 38 are you going to be amazing? Everything works, or how many are you going to have to fight back? Because there was a lot of games like that. We weren't even amazing against Leicester at home last year. We were sloppy defensively, but we won. Everton at home last year, it took us towards the end of the first half to get into the game, and then second half we ran away with it. Man United, we had to suffer. Villa, we had to suffer. Bournemouth, we had to suffer. These things happen, but these games, I've said, and many more, there's been those elements of concerns. Again, how good are you at your worst? How good are you when systems are not working, when everything's going wrong? And I do think the mentality has changed at this club in comparison to what we needed, what we did, what we used to be, but where we need to go. And if we're looking in the realm of fighting for titles, latter stages of the Champions League, bringing silverware home, then we need to judge it by different dynamics. We've gone from down here to up here. We need to go up here, especially defensively. We can score goals. We can play people off the park. It's now about marrying that defensive outlook, and a lot of that lays at the feet of Mikel Arteta. I also believe the best players manage themselves as well, because especially when you get yourselves back into the game where really, a point is a fair point. Really, we could have had no complaints if we lost to Fulham for all the possession and chances, because they were better than us. Leno was playing out of his skin, etc., etc. They played higher to their capacity than we played to ours. But we need to be able to keep clean sheets. We need to be mentioned as one of the best defensive teams in this league. And again, everybody is a part of that. Ramsdale was our first attacker. Our first defender would be Eddie Nketiah, Jesus, Havertz, Trossard, whoever's going to play in that number 9 position, really. So I think we can count ourselves lucky. It's not amazing. I would have loved 9 points from 3 games, but at the end of the day, 7 points is a decent bedding. If you go and beat United before the international break, which I hope we do, considering their injuries, not that you can write off a team like Man United, everything's kind of put to bed. If you go and score a goal, you're amazing. With Havertz, I do think Arteta is going to persist with him, and I do think on one hand, you spent big money. You need to find a system to get the best out of him. This system could even be, in spite of Havertz, not necessarily with Havertz. Arteta could have always been demanding that this is where he wanted to go, and Havertz just fits in, sort of thing. So I understand it. The money spent, the fact that Arteta's reputation in relation to Havertz is on the line, because many people would have said, yeah, we could do with Timber, we could do with Rice. Havertz, it would have been Umin and Arin. If Arteta can get the potential out of him, fair enough. I'm not going to write off a man 3-4 games odd into a 3-4 games odd into a season, which is 38 games and what is probably a 4 or 5 year deal. But at the end of the day, if there's competition for places, if you're not doing your job and you're not doing your job, then there has to be competition. I honestly believe the Fulham game is the only game Arteta would look at and say, you know what, could add a bit more. You've got a Smith Rowe who's finally fit, obviously had a good pre-season for Arsenal and had a mini pre-season with England's under-21s. Fabio Vieira, again, whether he takes his chances when he starts is another thing, but he looked very encouraging in his substitute appearance. So you've also got them two who could come in. You've also got, the luxury of just going Rice, Partey and Odegaard. So we're going to have to see exactly what's being said in that regards. But I would say game management, taking your chances and defending better and just being a bit more mature, really, and a little more calculated and less emotional to see out Premier League games. And again, Fulham last year, as Arteta said, when he was giving examples in his press conference, Fulham last year was filled with these emotions. The only difference is we ran away with 3 points. To a degree, had we have got 3 points, people would have just shut up about things. But I try to tell you, look, and myself, I go by this. Look at the performance. Sometimes you're going to win when you don't deserve to win. Sometimes you're going to play amazing and lose. Sometimes you're going to draw when you deserve to draw or where you should have lost draw. But that is football. It's just about getting better and chasing that illusion of perfection. I do believe, and ultimately what cost us, in my opinion, for all the injuries and stuff like that, and as good as City are, take nothing away from them, I think we shot ourselves in the foot last season, highlighted by the last kind of lap of the games we had towards the tail end of the season. But all season, them things were there. They were there against Leicester, they were there against Villa, they were there against United, they were there against Bournemouth, they were there against Brighton away from home. And ultimately, sometimes, you can't run away from things. So we just need to be better. I want to beat United because it does leave a sour taste in your mouth going into the international period with a defeat. And I'm not going to lie, the Fulham game does feel like we stole something, but I also think we've been a victim of robbery because we shot ourselves in the foot. You cannot be expected to go in the Premier League, come back from behind in the context as we did, not get the extra 2 points, only get one too many times a season and expect to do better than what you did last year. So we're going to have to see. But yeah, you lot, let me know your opinions on Kai Havertz. Do you think it's time to drop him? Do you persist with him? Let me know your thoughts on all the statistics. Let me know your thoughts on even the transfer news. Check out the other transfer news videos I've posted. Let me know your thoughts on Odegaard, Ramsdale, Saka and Saliba obviously winning in the PFA Awards. If you haven't subscribed or smashed the like button or commented, what are you doing? Once again, God bless you all. Thank you for watching. You lot have a great week. Stay in good health. I'm out.
There's always just that active when defenders have been given like